Albert Pike served as a brigadier general in the Confederate Army. Following the war, Pike was jailed for treason. He was quickly pardoned by a fellow Freemason, President Andrew Johnson. Among eventually becoming a 33-degree Mason and a top leader of the Ku Klux Klan, Pike was also believed to be a Luciferian. He claimed he was able to summon Lucifer at will as the Grand Master of the Order of the Palladium. Palladism, or traditional Satanism, an ancient Luciferian cult, was then introduced to the inner circle of the Masonic lodges. This influence has flourished into modern-day Freemasonry in the super rites of the upper degrees. Industry, entertainment, the CIA, Congress, and our military leaders are inundated with Freemasonic Palladism, or a Luciferian New World Order. What follows are the chilling predictions, or better yet, instructions of Albert Pike's 3 world wars, funded in great part by the House of Rothschild. From a letter that he wrote to 33-degree Italian Illuminati head and mafia founder Giuseppe Mazzini, dated August 15, 1871. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergences caused by the agentures of the Illuminati between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments, in order to weaken the religions. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final social cataclysm. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economical exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, origin of savagery and of the most bloody turmoil. Then, everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in the public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. A bizarre letter indeed. Will we allow this madness to unfurl unabated, or will we put a halt to it before it's too late?
Albert Pike, 1809 to 1891, was an occultist and confirmed 33rd degree Freemason who ultimately became the leader of the U.S. branch of Scottish Rite Masonry. Pike was called by Freemasons worldwide as the prophet of Freemasonry and the greatest Freemason of the 19th century. The Scottish Rite houses the greatest details of the Great Plan today. Albert Pike was a diabolical genius and able to read and write in 16 different languages, among other feats of intellectualism. He also had what is common to the various Freemasonic prophets, and that is a spirit guide. He allegedly had a mystical bracelet he could use to contact these otherworldly spirits for guidance in his life. What the New Age crowd and the Freemasons call spirit guides are referred to as demons in the Bible and I would more accurately call them interdimensionals in today's speak. Albert Pike was born on December 29, 1809 in Boston, attended Harvard, and became a lawyer, then later served as a brigadier general in the Confederate Army. He was appointed by the Confederacy to be the Indian Commissioner in order to create an army of Indian warriors. He became governor of the Indian Territory and succeeded in creating an army consisting of Chickasaws, Comanches, Creeks, Cherokees, Miamis, Osages, Kansas, and Choctaws. He became known to them as the faithful, pale-faced friend and protector. The savagery of their attacks under the sadistic Pike forced Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, to soon disband the Indian Army. After the Civil War, Pike was found guilty of treason and jailed, only to be pardoned by President Andrew Johnson on April 22, 1866, who met with him the next day at the White House. On June 20, 1867, Scottish Rite officials, including Pike, bestowed upon Johnson the 4th through the 32nd degrees of Freemasonry, and weeks later received the 33rd degree initiation. General Albert Pike is the only Confederate general with an honorary statue on federal property in Washington, D.C. He was honored, not as a commander or even as a lawyer, but as Southern Regional Leader of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. The statue stands on a pedestal near the foot of Capitol Hill. 33rd degree Freemason Albert Pike, the man destined to develop the Luciferian doctrine for the Masonic hierarchy, could not accept that Lucifer and Satan were the same personality. While teaching his beliefs to a select few in the Supreme Council, Pike became the most powerful Mason in the world. From 1859 until his death in 1891, Pike occupied simultaneously the positions of Grand Master of the Central Directory at Washington, D.C., Grand Commander of the Supreme Council at Charleston, South Carolina, and Sovereign Pontiff of Universal Freemasonry. He was an honorary member of almost every Supreme Council in the world, personally receiving 130 Masonic degrees. Pike also was one of the most physically and morally repulsive individuals in American history. Weighing well over 300 pounds, his sexual proclivity was to sit naked astride a phallic throne in the woods, accompanied by a gang of prostitutes. To these orgies he would bring one or more wagon loads of food and liquor, most of which he would consume over a period of 2 days until he passed into a stupor. In his adopted state of Arkansas, Pike was well known as a practitioner of Satanism. Portraits of his later years show him wearing a symbol of the Baphomet around his neck, unquote. John Daniel, from his book on Freemasonry entitled Scarlet and the Beast. Pike was the Grand Master of a Luciferian group known as the Order of the Palladium, Sovereign Council of Wisdom, which had been founded in Paris in 1737. And it was this cult of Satan that was introduced to the inner circle of the Masonic lodges in the early 1800s. Albert Pike and other Masonic occultists established the new and reformed Palladian Rite of Freemasonry, also known as the Supreme Council. This order contained 2 degrees, 1 Adelph and 2 Companion of Ulysses, or Companion of Penelope for female initiates. Pike, along with Mazzini, Lord Palmerston, and Otto von Bismarck, intended to use the Palladian Rite to create an umbrella group that would tie all Masonic groups together. In addition to founding the Supreme Council Palladian Rite in Charleston, South Carolina, Pike established Supreme Councils in Rome, Italy, led by Mazzini, London, England, led by alleged 33rd degree Freemason Lord Henry Palmerston, and Berlin, Germany, led by alleged 33rd degree Freemason Otto von Bismarck. He set up 23 subordinate councils in strategic places throughout the world, including 5 Grand Central Directories in Washington, D.C., North America, Montevideo, South America, Naples, Europe, Calcutta, Asia, and Mauritius, Africa, which were used to gather political and societal information. In other words, these were global Illuminati think tanks. All of these branches have been used for orchestrating Illuminati activities ever since.